A young man, Bai, was angry, saying he couldn't believe the apartment owner had changed the lock just because he couldn't pay this month's rent. He commented that the landlord didn't realize this would literally make him homeless, forcing him to sleep on the streets. Bai added that the payment for the novel he had just released would take a long time to arrive. With his hands in his pockets, he noticed he had very little money left to live on and wondered how he would survive with just that. Looking up, he saw a lottery shop and thought that since he was already at rock bottom, he might as well try his luck. Entering the lottery shop, Bai asked for a scratch card. The shopkeeper, who was smoking, asked which one he wanted. Bai replied that it didn't matter, as he was just testing his luck. However, Bai noticed something strange. He rubbed his eyes, questioning if what he saw was real. He seemed to see chances printed on each scratch card and wondered if he was hallucinating from overwork. The shopkeeper handed him a scratch card with a 100 success rate. When Bai tried to touch it, his finger went through it, making him question whether he was the only one seeing this or if it was some kind of illusion. Deciding to test one, he scratched it and won 10 yuan. His eyes lit up, and he asked for 2 more. Upon scratching them, he won another 5 yuan and then 50 yuan. He began to wonder if the numbers on top of the scratch cards indicated the probability of success. The shopkeeper, growing suspicious, prepared a row of tickets, 9 with 100 and 1 with 0. Bai opened the one with 0. Bai opened the one with 0 and didn't win, confirming that he was indeed seeing the success chances. The shopkeeper advised him to have self-control, but Bai, determined, asked for 20 more tickets costing 10 yuan each. The shopkeeper questioned if he was going to spend his last bit of money, reminding him of the risk. 10 minutes later, Bai had already transferred 20,000 yuan to his account. Bai began questioning how the success chances worked and how much he could win based on them. The shopkeeper tried to convince him to stop, but Bai was determined to continue. However, upon receiving the next batch of tickets, Bai noticed that the probabilities had changed. He realized that the probabilities seemed to be based on his thoughts and concluded that by rephrasing his questions, he could win much more money. Bai told the shopkeeper that today was his lucky day, but the shopkeeper believed his luck would run out. Bai kept scratching tickets and initially stopped winning, much to the shopkeeper's relief. The shopkeeper advised him to stop, saying his luck had run out. However, Bai had been secretly buying 0 tickets to disguise his plan. Eyeing a ticket with a 30,000 yuan prize, Bai turned the tables, winning several smaller amounts before finally winning 15,000 yuan. The shopkeeper was shocked, realizing that Bai had taken all the winning tickets. He tried to persuade Bai to keep buying, but Bai noticed that all the remaining tickets had 0 probabilities and refused. He explained that he needed to be diligent and careful with his money, leaving the shop satisfied. Outside, Bai wondered if he could use this newfound ability for purposes beyond lotteries. Testing his powers, he saw the probabilities of successfully opening a door, which decreased as he hesitated. Suddenly, a dog burst through the door. Bai stepped back just in time, confirming that his ability was real. The shopkeeper, surprised, asked if Bai knew the dog would come in. Bai invented a story, claiming he was a seer from a family of fortune-tellers with a 3,000-year lineage. The shopkeeper, still suspicious, asked Bai to guess something about his financial future. The shopkeeper mentioned he was about to sell an apartment but didn't know for how much. Using his ability, Bai determined the shopkeeper could sell it for 4.3 million yuan. The shopkeeper was impressed and thankful, eventually offering Bai 300,000 yuan as compensation for his help. Bai almost felt embarrassed to accept such a large amount but left the shop with gratitude. As Bai walked out, he noticed the dog showing signs of distress. Though he initially called the dog stupid, he realized it might be a purebred. He wondered about the chance of the dog having an owner, and the system confirmed it was 100. Deciding to help the dog, Bai saw an opportunity to earn money as well. While playing with the dog, a ball it was holding flew onto a billboard, bounced back, and hit both of them on the head. Bai laughed, calling the dog stupid but also wondered about its owner. Bio could hardly stand it as the dog pulled his leg. He thought the idiot seemed to want to lead him to its owner. Suddenly, the dog ran off frantically. Bio wondered if the dog was at least heading toward its owner and decided to follow it to see. The protagonist chased the dog and, 3 minutes later, found himself in Central Park, where a girl was taking selfies for TikTok. Bio was surprised by the girl's beauty, thinking she was a 9 out of 10. He wondered what the probability was that she was the dog's owner, and concluded it was 100. Apparently, the owner was a beauty. Initially, he only thought about asking her for money as a reward for finding the dog. The girl was calmly taking several selfies, and seeing this, Bio thought she must be stupid for not realizing her dog had been lost for a while. As he and the dog approached the girl, she asked if the husky with him was named Orion because it looked a lot like her dog. Bio thought she was dense and stupid. She squatted to talk to the dog and commented that even its barks were similar to her dog's. But Orion was a bit more handsome. She added that his husky seemed a bit dumb, less intelligent than hers, ate about 500 tons of dog food, and that her dog's coat looked better. Hearing her say these things, Bio had no reaction. And likewise, she showed no reaction either. However, he asserted that it was her dog. The girl replied that he must be joking because her dog was tied up over there. 5 minutes later, embarrassed, she thanked Bio and gave him her phone number. He said it was no problem and was glad she found her dog. Later, Bio saw a picture of the girl and the dog making a mess in her posts. Seeing this, he commented that her dog was destroying everything and said he would have kicked it out if he were the owner. However, he admitted he couldn't even kick it out because he had been kicked out of his own house and had nowhere to go. The girl ignored his comment and casually said that if he didn't have a house, he should just buy one. Bio thought she might be right. Now that he had the probability ability, why was he still thinking about paying rent? He concluded that buying a house would be easier once he got rich. But he wondered how he would get rich quickly enough to buy a house. He didn't have nearly enough money, and even paying in installments with a 300,000 yuan deposit wouldn't be easy. He needed a quick way to make money. The lottery seemed too suspicious, and stocks would take too long. Then he had the idea of checking out antique collections. Arriving at the Chinese market, he noticed merchants loudly announcing their items. Suddenly, a guy with 2 teeth suggested that Bio take a look at his porcelain collection. Other merchants started forming a circle around him, all advertising their goods. A fat vendor on the right commented that Bio was a novice wandering around aimlessly and probably didn't know anything about antiques. Bio stopped and thought these guys must think he was a novice, a bunch of lions ready to steal his money. One merchant suddenly told him that these were antiques inherited from his ancestors and that his name was Lai, claiming his ancestor was the poet-like son. Surprised, Bio said he would take a look, but in his mind he affirmed that these merchants saw him as an easy target. Deciding to show them what it was like to deal with a novice who never gets fooled, he wondered about the chances that the items were genuine. The probability was 100. Something was off. Bio realized it might depend on how he phrased his questions. He then asked about the chances that the items in that stall had a value above 10,000 yuan and concluded that none did. He asked the merchant about an item, and the merchant claimed it was the most valuable antique, offering it for 20,000 yuan. Bio thought the merchant was a scoundrel, trying to sell something not worth even 200 yuan for 20,000. He decided to leave, and the merchant, seeing this, became desperate. Bio thought the place would be tough, full of crooks everywhere. To buy something worthwhile, he needed an item he could sell for at least 10,000 yuan. Looking at the fat man's stall, Bio asked the system what the chance was of finding something worth 10,000 yuan there. The probability was 10, but it gradually increased to 300,000 yuan. Confident he could make a good deal there, Bio approached the stall. The fat man, seeing him coming, began planning something malicious. He explained that buying antiques required vision and claimed he worked with integrity. unlike unscrupulous merchants. He suggested they discuss prices and proudly displayed an item, claiming it was of excellent quality. Bio interrupted him, stating he wasn't interested, as the probability showed 0. He said he wanted the item that had a 100 chance of selling for 500,000 yuan. The fat man thought Bio was foolish, believing the item was worthless trash, and mentally questioned how he could increase the price of something so ugly. Meanwhile, Bio reflected that the seller was likely strategizing to raise prices. Slapping his own face, Bio reminded himself to remain calm and not appear overly confident, as it might tip off the seller. The fat man continued promoting the item, emphasizing its craftsmanship and historical significance, but Bio remained resolute, relying on his probability ability to make the best decision. The fat man claimed the vase was handcrafted and produced a clean sound, offering it for 50,000 yuan. He stated that if Bio acquired it and sold it anywhere, he would make a fortune. Bio was confused by the fat man and, in his thoughts, questioned whether the seller even knew the item was worth 500,000 yuan. After finishing his thoughts, Bio commented that the vase was indeed beautiful, but that he didn't feel an affinity for it. Instead, he found another very good item. The merchant smiled and remarked that the boy had a good eye for antiques, as he was interested in a bronze pot. He claimed it was a treasure excavated from his homeland and offered to sell it for 8,000 yuan, stating this was the original price he had paid for it. The merchant asked Bio what he thought. Bio reasoned that compared to the item's original value, 8,000 was nothing. However, he decided to ask the system if the merchant knew the vase's real value. The system revealed a clear 0. Seeing these results, Bio thought that with his probability ability, he could deceive the seller without the man even realizing it. However, he debated whether to pretend to be a novice or a poor buyer to make the seller lower the price further. He decided to determine the minimum price the seller would accept. Bio asked the system about the probability of the fat man selling the item for 4,000 yuan, which surprisingly dropped to 2,000 yuan with a 100 chance. After this conclusion, Bio stated that 8,000 yuan was a bit high and asked if the seller could lower the price a little. The seller, who had spent only a few coins acquiring the item along with a batch of others, noticed it was the boy's first time in the market. He commented that 8,000 wasn't expensive, but allowed Bio to name his price. The protagonist said he could only pay 2,000 yuan. The seller, surprised by the amount, called him poor. Bio insisted on buying it for 2,000 yuan, but feigned quick disinterest. Forced by this, the seller reluctantly agreed to the deal, and the transaction was made. Bio thought he had made a fortune, while the fat man believed he had struck gold by selling to a naive kid. The seller chuckled, recalling how, just the day before, he had sold an item he got for a few coins to a pretty girl for 8,000 yuan. Now, he had sold a worthless item for 2,000 yuan. Speaking of the girl from the previous day, she suddenly appeared, heading toward old Wan's shop. Before she could reach him, Wan was already saying that it wasn't his problem if she couldn't sell the item. He claimed she had chosen to pay that price and reminded her that his shop was small and didn't offer refunds. The girl demanded to know if Wan had sold the bronze pot. Without hesitation, she stated she was willing to pay 10,000 or even 50,000 or even 50,000 yuan for it. The seller began trembling at the amount, glancing at Bio in the distance, and wondering if the pot was really worth that much. He also questioned how the boy had known. The girl, growing impatient, stared at Wan and wondered if he was stalling to raise the price. She declared that if 50,000 wasn't enough, she would offer 60,000 or even 80,000 yuan. Frustrated, she questioned why Wan wasn't responding and demanded an answer. A friend next to Wan commented that he was impressed Wan was trying to sell something worth 300 yuan for 80,000. Old Wan, regaining composure, told the girl they could close the deal for 100,000 yuan. She agreed, leaving Wan stunned. The friend laughed at the situation, pointing out that Wan had already sold the pot for 2,000 yuan. The girl was incredulous upon hearing this. Old Wan stood up, vowing to get the vase back. Amid the commotion, someone in the crowd shouted a bid of 300,000 yuan for the bronze chalice. Everyone turned to look, and the crowd began murmuring about the boy's incredible luck. Wan, desperate, claimed he would never sell something so cheaply. The girl stepped forward, offering 550,000 yuan for the item. Bai, observing the girl, thought she had beautiful skin, a lovely face, long legs, and was a complete beauty. He mused that she must be a rich tunder. He thought his goddess had finally appeared, but with his probability ability, he couldn't be swayed by beauty. The girl, meanwhile, noticed Bai staring at her with a strange expression. She thought he looked disgusting but blamed her grandfather's stern upbringing for her current predicament. She had to buy the chalice at any cost, but the boy wondered if her chances of buying it were 100s, and whether she would pay even more. He turned to see the fat man and said, "The seller has also come." The fat man explained that the chalice he had bought from Old Wine for 2,000 was actually worth 550,000. Another merchant started mocking the fat man, and he collapsed right there. The girl came running and offered 550,000, saying, "Take it or leave it." The old man on the other side asked for calm, saying the girl was being irrational and that he had made the first offer. She replied that the old man hadn't closed the deal yet. The spoiled child reminded her of someone. The two stared at the protagonist, who said he wasn't the one buying and told them to sort it out among themselves. The girl thought it was a cheap trick to try to raise the price, assuming she and the old man were being played for fools. But seconds later, the two started raising the price, gradually reaching 600,000. The old man was about to say 700,000, but stopped and asked if the girl's grandfather was the crazy old man from Jaman. The woman, surprised, replied that he was her grandfather and asked who the old man was. The old man introduced himself as Lai Heo, a history professor at Hani University, just like her grandfather. The girl replied that he was the old Lai her father often talked about. The old man asked how her grandfather was, and she responded that he was doing very well and always went for morning walks. Bai, confused, asked if they were going to buy the chalice or not. The girl sighed, eyeing the old man, sharply replied that they were, and subtly pushed him aside. She told him to take care and suggested he go have tea with her grandfather, saying she would pick him up later. With that, 600,000 were deposited into Bai's account. In his thoughts, he noted that he had gotten more than expected, 100,000 more than the initial price, and that he was almost a millionaire thanks to his golden touch. He thought this power was like that of a protagonist in Anam and wondered why the girl didn't give him her number. When he asked for her number, she looked at him with surprise and disgust. The protagonist thought he should calm down, noting that the girl seemed interested in antiques. He decided that when he found something truly valuable, he would call her. She stared at him, thinking he was awful, wondering who he thought he was. A toad hoping to kiss the princess. She found him too ugly and felt disgusted. Aroy asked the girl if she was going to answer. Startled and uneasy, she asked what he meant by calling her his girl. In her thoughts, she called him a piece of crap and thought he was being too informal with her. Turning to him, she asked if he thought he was older than her to speak so casually. The protagonist then asked the assistant about the probability of the girl being older than him. The answer was 0. Observing her prideful demeanor, he thought she was worthy of being his woman, even if she didn't know it yet. Curious, Bai asked the system about the chance that the Empress was 20 years old. The answer was 100. He and she were both 20 years old. He was born on September 30 and began wondering about her birth date. He ruled out October and December, then asked the system if they were born on the same day. The answer was 100. He was born at 3:23 in the afternoon, so he asked if she was born between 7:00 a.m. and noon. The answer was negative. Then he asked if she was born after 5. 0 p.m. Again, the answer was negative. Finally, he learned they were both born at 3:30, with only a 1-minute difference. Bio thought she was trying to act older, but he was slightly older than her. The protagonist began teasing her, saying that she turned 20 this year and was born at the end of September. The girl was confused. He continued affirming that she must be wondering how he knew this, and claimed it was just a predictive ability. She glared at him and replied that anyone could find that information online. She told him to stop joking because she was leaving. The protagonist challenged her, stating that she was born in the afternoon, around 3:30. The girl was shocked and didn't know what to say. The crowd commented that he had gone too far researching her, calling him a pervert. The protagonist thought this wasn't supposed to happen. The girl tried to escape, but he insisted, saying he wasn't done yet. He boldly claimed she was born at 3:24, and even more precisely, at 3 hours, 24 minutes, and 36 seconds. The girl, sweating, pulled out her phone and called her mother, asking for confirmation of her birth time. Her mother confirmed it. 3:24 and 36 seconds. The girl, extremely confused, said nothing. The protagonist urged her to say something because her silence scared him. She finally responded, saying she couldn't believe how strange he was. She added that she was leaving. He tried to explain that it was just a joke and that he had guessed. She didn't believe him, saying he had even gotten the seconds right and was now treating her like an idiot. She asked what the trick was. The protagonist thought she looked even more beautiful when angry and replied that it was just logical deduction and a bit of guessing. She questioned if he was serious about the guessing. Bio commented that not all fortune tellers were liars and added that she was wearing black underneath today. She grew angrier at this remark. He then asked loudly why he didn't see her boyfriend and what the chance was of her being single, deducing she never liked any man. Extremely embarrassed, she asked what he was saying. The crowd around them was staring at her, and the protagonist said he spoke clearly. The woman pulled him away, and the two ran to a more secluded place. She put her foot on the wall and demanded he tell her how he knew all that about her. Bio replied that it was just his calculations and guesses. She didn't believe him, so he challenged her, saying he knew where the 3 birthmarks on her body were, and that knowing someone's orientation was much easier than that. She was shocked and at the same time shy and angry. A while later, the protagonist was adding her contact information. He said that if he had something good to sell, he would let her know, and added that if she wanted any fortune telling advice, she could ask him. In his thoughts, he reflected that his guessing ability was so accurate he could even discover people's secrets. He didn't expect to learn so much from that girl. Observing the situation, he noticed that the old man who knew her was calling someone. He wondered if the old man had overheard their conversation and asked the system what the chances were that the girl's family would find out she had no interest in men. Initially, the answer was 0. However, the situation was changing, and the chance of the secret being discovered reached 100. He concluded this likely happened because of the public conversation. He questioned if Mr. Lai had already called the family and panicked, as he didn't intend for this to happen. He messaged the girl and said that, because of the 600,000, the secret might not be a secret for her family anymore. She ran to try to find the protagonist, but he was already hidden. Suddenly, her parents contacted her to talk about it. From a distance, he just watched as her family, on the phone, told her to come home because her mother and father had something to ask her. Bio thought his fortune telling ability was a blessing for him but a curse for others. Suddenly, his phone rang. His mother had arranged a blind date for him. Although he refused, the date was already set for 8:15 p.m. at the restaurant. He thought about leaving since it was taking a while and complimented the girls in the place. He saw a woman with blue hair entering the establishment, accompanied by Kim. The system confirmed that Kim Kim had 100 interest in the blue-haired woman. The blue-haired woman stared at Bio, quickly removed Kim Kim's hand from her arm, and started to cry. Bio thought Kim Kim was looking at him like she wanted to kill him. The blue-haired woman approached and asked if he was Bio. Introducing herself as Ma, she said she believed he was a good man to date. People around them were incredulous at the situation, and Bio was even more confused. Kim Kim fell into desperate tears. Bio commented that the situation was strange. Mu asked if he didn't find her attractive. He replied that, yes, she was amazing in every aspect. In his thoughts, he wondered how to get out of this situation. Mu approached and whispered in his ear that she was serious and it wasn't a joke. Then she hugged him, doubting if it was a dream. He asked the system, which gave a result of 0. The girl stared at him and gave him a forced kiss, leaving Kim Kim desolate. Mu told him to follow her to meet her parents. Bio deduced that Mu wasn't in love with him, but was using him as a shield to make Kim Kim give up. Hesitant, he wondered if she really wanted to introduce him to her parents. Seeing his hesitation, Mu asked if he regretted it. The protagonist thought she kissed him, and he should be getting involved in this situation. Seeing Mu, he shed a tear. Bio decided to go with her. Arriving at her house, she loudly announced their arrival. Her mother asked how the date went and if she had failed again. Mu introduced Bao as her boyfriend, and he tremblingly greeted her mother, calling her Miss Ma. In his thoughts, he questioned how he ended up there, but decided to act to help Ma. Her mother was surprised and happy, while her father in the kitchen shouted with joy. He approached and asked Bio where he and his daughter had met. Mu said they had known each other since high school but hadn't talked much and were now surprisingly together. The father was suspicious, but the other said it was wonderful to hear. The father pulled Bio aside and said that his wife would cook something delicious for them. He placed them in his daughter's room and asked them to sit on the bed. Before Bio could speak, the parents had already left the room. He asked the system if those were her real relatives, and the system confirmed with 100% certainty. Mu's mother entered bringing fruit, but the father drove her away, saying she was disturbing their fun and that they should enjoy their time together. Mu, embarrassed, explained that her parents were excited because it was the first time she had brought a boyfriend home. The protagonist thought he had hit the jackpot by getting involved with the girl, observing that her parents seemed very excited. Behind the door, the parents listened, and the father wondered why the two were so quiet, considering it the perfect opportunity for them. The mother, scared, expressed concern about what the young man might do with her daughter. The old man asked her to calm down and assured her they couldn't let them notice, adding that the cleaver was sharp for any eventuality. In the room, Bio was confused by the situation and decided to clarify everything. He stood up, but Ma, scared, ran to him. Bio calmed her, saying he just wanted to talk. She apologized, saying she still needed to get used to the relationship. He understood her nervousness and stepped back a bit, but she, embarrassed, asked him not to stay too far. Bao observed Mu's beauty up close. He wonders about the chance of holding her hand without her feeling disgusted, estimating the probability at 80. Thinking about a hug, the chance drops to 76. And for a kiss, the probability is 59. He questions if he could, but remembers she is just a fake girlfriend to fool her parents. Confused by the situation, he decides not to get more involved. When Bio tries to explain, he trips and falls to the floor. Mu's father opens the door, desperately asking what he is doing with his daughter. Mu asks her father what he is doing. The mother quickly pulls the father out of the room. Bio, confused, wonders if the father was holding a cleaver and thinks it was a close call. He concludes that the father really doesn't believe he's the boyfriend of his daughter. The mother, while hitting the father, asks him to explain why he had the cleaver. The father responds that he is just protecting his daughter and that there is nothing wrong with that. Bio thinks that pretending to be Mu's boyfriend is dangerous and that he almost got sliced. Wanting to get out of this situation, Ma asks if he's okay, impressing him again with her beauty. The protagonist decides that he doesn't want to get involved in this family matter anymore. so he says they need to discuss the situation again. Surprised and somewhat angry, Mu asks if he regrets it. Bio argues that he doesn't want to keep deceiving her parents and that the situation can only be resolved with a serious conversation with them. Mo, holding his arm, begs him to help her just this once. Outside, the father asks if they are fighting, while the mother, ignoring him, says it's his fault. Bio leaves the room, walking past them and heading for the door, determined to leave. As he begins putting on his shoes, the mother tells him not to put on his shoes because she spilled water while cooking. She thinks he can't leave like that and suggests he spend the night there. Father agrees and reinforces the suggestion. Bio invents an excuse about a sick nephew and decides to leave. In bed, the protagonist thinks that making money in a safe and calm manner is the only way forward. At the antique auction, old Wang, still resentful, prepares relics and is surprised to see Bio. He tries to sell a set of porcelain, claiming it is of great value. Bio, using his system, discovers that the items are genuine and worth much more than the offered price. After a quick negotiation, Bio decides to buy the pieces, surprising Wang and leaving quickly with his acquisition. Old Wang considers the possibility that some of those items might be genuine, but quickly dismisses the idea, thinking the protagonist is just a novice who gave him $500,000 profit. At the corner, a pink car stops in front of the shop. A girl gets out of the car and asks Wang where the Tansen Kai artifacts she sold the previous night are. She offers $1 million to get them back, claiming a porcelain piece in that set is very important to her grandfather. Wang is shocked, and the girl insists, pleading and explaining that it belonged to her grandfather and should not have been sold. The fat man responds that he wanted to sell, but had already sold them to someone else. Wang's colleague comments that the boy paid $500,000 for them. Hearing this, the girl falls into desperate tears. Old Wang tries to console the girl, saying the items were fake. She angrily shouts that there was a genuine Tansen Kai piece in the set worth $10 million. The other vendor, mocking Wang, highlights that he sold something of great value for very little. Inside a pawn shop, a man analyzes the item bought by Bao. The old man comments on the item's impeccable condition and compares it with another he owns. The protagonist thinks the chance that the item belongs to the man is 100, and the system confirms it. The old buyer offers $9 million for it, a price Bao promptly accepts. Our now richer boy receives a card from the buyer and leaves. Outside, he sees the girl from the pink car running toward the place. He thinks the chance of her tripping is 100 and warns her, preventing the fall. Despite the warning, the girl ends up tripping and Bao catches her, preventing her from falling. Confused, the girl asks how he knew she was going to fall, while people around them question the scene. The girl asks to be let go, but Bao responds that it is she who needs to let him go. After a brief tussle, she finally releases him, and Bao starts to leave. But the girl tells him to stop. She writes her number in his phone, stating she will resolve the situation later. Bao is surprised and checks the girl's profile on his phone, thinking about his newfound wealth, considering buying a car or a house. As he walks, old Wang asks if he has sold the porcelain and for how much. Bao replies he sold it for $9 million, and Wang unexpectedly congratulates him, despite having lost a great amount. The fat man from a distance is planning something malicious against Bao. Back at the pawn shop, the granddaughter arrives as the old man analyzes the item. She notices he has already bought it and nervously tries to leave quickly. The grandfather notices her nervousness and calls her to talk, suspecting she has done something wrong again. The last time she was this nervous, she sold one of his porcelains for 10 new ones, and the buyer came to his shop selling it for a very high price. The old man starts connecting the dots, and the granddaughter desperately flees the place, running. The girl reflects on the quick transaction and the need to retrieve the piece before its value is discovered. She remembers the boy who mentioned she. He wonders if the girl will fall and questions if he really has such good foresight. Bio feels a chill and asks the system if it's because of old Wang. The system confirms it with a 100. Bio then speculates if Wang will try to trick him with fake relics again, and the system confirms it. Thinking about his chances of success, Bio concludes he needs to diversify his strategies to avoid relying solely on antiques. He reflects on his recent interactions, including with crazy women, and has an idea. When he confirms there will be a valuable item at the pavilion the next day, he begins thinking about buying a car. Bio sees the girl at the bus stop and notices she posted on her stories about leaving the car at her grandfather's shop. He notices the suspicious man in a hoodie and alerts the girl, who gets nervous and questions his intentions. The bus is arriving, and the girl ignores Bio's warning. The man starts approaching, and when he tries to harass her, she reacts violently, surprising Bio with her strength. He concludes she must practice martial arts. While the girl is impressed with Bio's ability to predict events, he tries to distance himself from her, thinking about the time it will take to get to the dealership. However, after some thought, he begins to suspect a potential arsonist on the bus. The system confirms that there is a criminal with 9 liters of gasoline planning to set the vehicle on fire. Desperate, Bio calls the police, who initially doubt his detailed information. Bio discovers that there is a police officer on the bus, but he doesn't know who the arsonist is. Using the system, he identifies the suspect in the back of the bus with a large backpack. The girl notices he is nervous and puts her hand on his shoulder, asking why he is running away from her. Seeing an opportunity, he yells at her, calling her a brute gorilla girl. The protagonist thinks that by doing this, the criminal will be distracted and might alert the police officer. The girl looks at him angrily and moves to attack. The protagonist throws himself to the side, opening the criminal's bag full of gasoline. The girl punches the criminal in the face, knees him in the stomach, and as he falls, delivers a reverse kick to the back of his neck, knocking him out. She handcuffs the criminal and inspects the liquid, revealing it to indeed be gasoline. The protagonist is surprised to realize that the girl is a police officer. At the bus stop outside, Bio tries to leave discreetly, but the girl interrupts his departure. She says she heard it was him who reported everything to the police and asks if he wouldn't like to give an explanation. Bio thinks the girl will be a problem all the time and is on his case. Bio responds that if he tells her, she must keep it a secret or he will be in trouble because of her. The girl, in her thoughts, questions if he has some kind of power because he's guessing too much. Bio realizes she doesn't believe anything. She continues insisting, not knowing what to say. The girl asks again how he knew a man intended to set the bus on fire. Bio responds that it was just a coincidence because it is his duty to help society. The girl doesn't believe him and pins him against the wall, saying he wasn't even on the bus when he called the police and hadn't even found the suspect yet. But even so, he knew the man was carrying 8 liters of gasoline. The protagonist's fake girlfriend is watching the situation. Bio responds to the girl that he just guessed. Hearing this, she asks if his guesses now predict the future and says they are going to take a walk to the police station. Fake girlfriend arrives and asks what he is doing. The police officer asks if the two know each other, and the fake girlfriend responds yes, asking if he's okay. The protagonist, in his thoughts, realizes the situation is escalating and becoming even more worrying. Maybe it's an opportunity. He winks at the fake girlfriend and says it's not what she's thinking. He didn't do anything with this girl because they have no relationship, but she's following him, pointing to the police officer. Bio says he told her he has a girlfriend and asks why she keeps harassing him. The girl desperately says she has nothing to do with this. The crowd comments that, to be honest, the girl is really following Bio. Hearing this, the police officer becomes both embarrassed and angry. Bio continues with the scene, saying that the girl doesn't leave him alone no matter what he does. The fake girlfriend joins the scene and says he is her boyfriend, asking the girl to stop bothering him. The police officer doesn't want to give up but relents. Approaching, she punches Bio and says she's not interested in him, but warns the fake girlfriend to be careful because her boyfriend might not be such a good person. Bio gets up, and the fake girlfriend shows concern. He says it hurt a bit, but at least he got rid of that problem and thanks her for the help. Bio says it was nothing since he helped her in that situation. So now they are even. Kim, the devil's daughter, is watching the situation and didn't like seeing Bio involved with Mui. The next day, the protagonist reflects on the previous day and decides not to get involved with those crazy women. He just wants money and decides to go to the pavilion. Upon arrival, he sees that old Wang is not there, and the vendor next door says he went to the campus and will be back soon. In his thoughts, Bio wonders if he will be able to buy something from old Wang today, and if he can buy from other stalls. Bio realizes that he won't find any valuable relics today and decides to search anyway. After a while, Bio notices an item that the system confirms is 100s genuine. He asks the merchant the price of the item, and the vendor responds that it is 3,000 yuans. Bio asks for a 50 discount, and the vendor quickly agrees. Bio thinks the vendor has no idea the item is authentic and decides to buy it immediately. The girl arrives and tells the merchant to sell it to her, saying she will pay the original 3,000 yuans. The merchant takes the item from Bio and hands it to the girl. Seeing this, Bio panics and offers 10,000 yuans. The girl doesn't back down and offers 30,000 yuans. Bio thinks the girl did it on purpose, and now the vendor will realize the item is much more valuable and won't sell it easily. He says he will give 50,000 yuans, and that if she really wants it so much, she should offer a higher amount, and it will be hers. The girl raises the bid to 100,000 yuans. Bio gets angry and thinks he can't fool Kim, wondering if she will raise the price even more. Kim, in turn, believes Bio is acting to sell a fake item. He finally accepts defeat. As he walks away, he thinks Kim entered the auction without analyzing properly, because he trusts his system to find many other products. Receiving the product, she reflects that it really seems to be from the Jing dynasty. Recognizing Bio's talent, as he walks, he notices the girl is following him and asks why. She responds that the street isn't his and it's none of his business. Bio continues going from shop to shop, and Kim follows him, always outbidding him. He finally asks if she is doing this on purpose. Kim claims she can do whatever she wants, since she has a lot of money and doesn't care. She reveals personal information about Bio, questioning his sudden rise and accusing him of cheating. Desperate, the protagonist defends himself, stating he just got lucky with the relics. Kim says her threats have scared him, and Bio responds that she won't be able to stop him from making money. She laughs and challenges him, stating he won't make a cent that day. Bio decides to pretend interest in various items to confuse Kim. Suddenly, he asks all the vendors to sell all vendors to him. The girl, realizing his tactic, tells the vendor she will buy everything with a 10 crease, while Bio challenges her to really buy it all. The vendor, excited, agrees to sell to her. Bio mocks her, showing the transfer he received from the merchants as part of his plan. Kim gets furious and promises revenge. Bio just laughs, stating her threats are empty. Bio then leaves the pavilion, thinking that, even though he made good money today, Kim's family is very powerful. He believes that if she tries to mess with him, it will cause problems. Additionally, he notices that the system has updated but hasn't seen any changes. The protagonist thinks that when he tests it, he will know the difference. Despite having the skills to make money, he recognizes that the problem is the lack of contacts. He wonders where he can find these contacts. In front of his car, a man is standing and asks if he is Bio, introducing himself as Miss Kim's butler. Bio asks if the man is there to put him to eternal sleep, warning that if that is the case, it will take more men than just the butler. The butler responds that Bio has misunderstood everything, explaining that his mistress sent him to invite Bio to a celebrity gathering as an apology for today's incident. Bio is surprised and thinks that a celebrity gathering as an apology doesn't make sense coming from Kim. However, he recognizes that if he goes to such a place, he will meet many wealthy people, making it a perfect chance to expand his contact list. After much thought, Bio finally agrees to the butler's proposal. An hour later, he is at the door of the venue. Kim opens the door and says she didn't expect him to come since it took him so long. The protagonist replies that he never expected to be invited. Kim glares at him and tells him to follow her because she will introduce him to some people. They start the introductions of the guests, beginning with the successor of the Shanghai group, then the owner of StarTech, and ending with the owner of Heavy Media. Kim asks Bio if he knows the introduced guests, and he is impressed by their reactions. She thinks about the boy's ignorance who got all nervous when he saw someone famous. Bio quickly understands the situation and thinks that the girl wants to make a fool of him for being nervous. He knows that when he's nervous, thinking about it only makes things worse. The secret to breaking this cycle is to think about how people go to the bathroom. The peculiar strategy works, and Bio starts greeting the guests correctly and without nervousness. Kim is incredulous at seeing Bio's calmness. 5 minutes later, the two are sitting at a table. She says she was surprised to see that he can talk to these people. Bio responds that there is no difference between a celebrity and an ordinary person. The girl becomes serious and says that soon he will see the difference between them. The master of ceremonies arrives to make the announcement, saying that the esteemed guests should move on to the main topic of the illustrious gathering, a charity auction. Bio is surprised to learn that there will be such an event. Seeing an opportunity, she tries to mock him and asks if he doesn't know what a charity auction is. Our boy becomes serious and says he is not stupid enough not to know what such an event is. Kim changes the subject and says she has a Ming Dynasty porcelain plate she wants to put in the auction. Since Bio is an expert in relics, she hands it to him and asks him to estimate the price and bid for her. Bio, even devoid of intelligence, asks if she will really let him estimate the price and auction it. The girl replies that she's given him such good help that he can even use his name in the bid. She reminds him that he wants money and says this is a good opportunity to improve his reputation in front of all these people. Bio becomes thoughtful, recognizing that she is right. He knows that if he can improve his reputation with these wealthy people, he will take much more advantage of his skills. However, he becomes serious and asks if she is making fun of him somehow and why she is being so kind to him. Kim sighs and replies that she has given up and doesn't want to be his enemy anymore. Our boy is still suspicious and starts talking to the system. He asks if Kim gave him a fake product. The system replies that the product is genuine, being 100 from the Ming Dynasty, and was recently sold for 2.5 million. The protagonist thinks that the relic may be real, but perhaps there's something wrong with the auction. He asks if the auction will go well, and the system indicates a 100 success rate, with the piece being genuine and the auction guaranteed. Bio concludes that there is nothing to worry about, recognizing that he is overthinking. Even if she wants to do something, he has the system on his side and has nothing to fear. After these thoughts, Kim tries to take the box from Bio. He asks her to calm down, and she says that if he doesn't want it, it's better to forget it. Bio replies that he accepts her kindness. The auctioneer raises his hand and announces that the next and final item of the charity auction is the relic owned by Mr. Bio. He looks back and sees Kim with a malicious smile, thinking that her expression indicates something is wrong. The auctioneer continues announcing the last relic in Bio's possession. Bio feels apprehensive and thinks that there's no use overthinking it. The piece is real, and the system guaranteed a 100 success rate for the auction. So he decides to see what Kim's trick is. Bio turns to the audience and begins to introduce himself. During the presentation, he reveals the item he will auction, but unexpectedly, it is a roll of toilet paper. The audience is surprised, questioning if Bio has some kind of mental illness. Nervous about the situation, he thinks that he knew it wouldn't be so easy. Recalling when Kim asked him to pick up an earring that fell on the floor, he realizes that was the moment she must have switched the items. The auctioneer asks Bio if he feels like going to the bathroom, questioning why he would bring a roll of toilet paper to the auction. Kim mocks him, thinking about how Bio will handle the situation. He thinks that if he runs away, she will think even less of him and will despise him. Besides, it would be a lifelong shame. The protagonist decides that he has to sell the item, as the auction success rate is 100. With the paper in hand, Bio begins to tell a story about how the roll of toilet paper is the most precious gift he has ever received. He recalls his childhood when he was called a crybaby, and on his birthday, he received the roll of toilet paper from his parents, who said that men are willing to bleed but not to shed tears. Shortly after that, Bio's parents passed away unexpectedly. His family was very poor, and all he had were debts. Whenever he couldn't hold back, he would take a piece of paper and wipe his tears, telling himself that he had to be strong and move forward. Step by step, he reached that moment. Bio states that the roll of toilet paper is a testament to his suffering. And at that important moment, he makes a point of auctioning his most important item to contribute to charity. The audience doesn't seem to care about Bio's story, but a man in the back, smoking, says he liked the story and offers 100,000. The auctioneer raises his hand and closes the auction, stating that the sale is finalized. Bio sighs in relief, thinking he was lucky. He's good at inventing stories under pressure. He glares at Kim, thinking that she wanted him to fail. She says he got lucky this time, but next time it will be impossible. Our boy thinks he saved his skin, but his plan to meet celebrities went down the drain. Now he is seen as a clown by these people. Bio concludes that he will have to work hard to earn money and gain power, status, and dignity. A car passes by Bio with Moo and the man who bought the toilet paper, confused. Our boy asks the system why they are together. The system responds that they have a collaborative business and are about to get married. Bio realizes that the system is smarter, possibly due to the update. He reflects on the messy world of the rich and decides he wants to make money peacefully. Returning to his old methods, thinking about old wine, he asks the system if old wine found a gift recently. The system informs him that old wine is about to collect a treasure. The protagonist thinks that old wine is very strange. Every time he has treasures, it's Bio who ends up with the fortune. He wonders if he shouldn't just cooperate with Juan, as he seems to have a lot of access to antiques. If any inconvenience arises, Juan can still intervene for him. The next day at the pavilion, the fat man is talking to someone on the phone, asking why the person hasn't arrived yet, and mentioning that he's been waiting for a long time. The boy suddenly appears and Wang asks what he's doing there, saying there's nothing for him. The boy responds that old Wang shouldn't be angry,